Okay, so we want to talk this week about Parshas Balak, which is really an incredible parsha because we see that Balak came to curse the Jewish people, knowing that he was hired, knowing that he didn't necessarily have the strength to bless the enemies of the Jewish people. That wouldn't have made them any stronger than the Jews, but that he did have this incredible ability to be able to curse. He knew the moment of God's anger, and therefore he could level a curse at the Jewish people and cause tremendous damage to them. The Balak was jealous of them, was worried about them, worried about what they would do to his land ultimately, and therefore just wanted to destroy them. There are so many incredible messages of keeping eyes open, of seeing the world. There's incredible messages in this week's parsha. But what's amazing is that the Talmud says that this parsha, they had originally wanted in the time of the Talmud to institute that we recite this parsha along with Kriyas Shema every single day, which is really an incredible thing. Because what's so important about Parshas Balak more than many of the other dramatic parshas in the Torah, there are incredible lessons in many of the parshas of the Torah, in all the parshas of the Torah. Why would this parsha specifically be desired to be part of the Shema? They really just wanted one pasuk to be part of the Shema, but you couldn't just take one pasuk out of a parsha, and therefore they were willing to put the entire parsha of Balak into the Shema, but they felt that it would make it too long. It would be a tirach, it would be a bother for people, and therefore they didn't institute it. But be that as it may, they had a desire to do that. What does that mean? What's the desire? So the Talmud tells us which was the pasuk that was really that they were focused on. So the pasuk is one of the psukim that was a blessing, a curse turned to a blessing that Bilam had leveled against the Jewish people. And he said, he called them Kara Shochav Ka'ari. They crouched, they lied like a lion, ukalavi miyakimenu, and like a lion cub, miyakimenu, who could arise them. The interesting pasuk, talking about the Jews and saying that they have this kind of strength, this ability to be able to be tranquil because they're confident that God is going to protect them. But why is that the pasuk that's so important that it would be instituted along with the Shema? So the truth is that there's another lion pasuk in the curses turned blessings of Bilam, where he says, "Hein am kalavi yokum," that the nation will rise like a lion cub, ukari nasa, and they will rise they'll be lifted like a lion. So Rashi says a fascinating thing. Rashi says, "Hinam kilavi yakum," they will rise up like a lion. Kishein omdim mishinasam, when they wake up from their sleep, shachris, hein misgabrim kilavi. So they find strength inside of themselves like a lion, uka'ari, lachtev mitzvahs, to grab onto mitzvahs. Lil baish talis, likrei es shema, ulaniach tefillin. To grab their talisim, to say the Shema, to put on their tefillin. They've been lying down and sleeping, and when they wake up from their sleep in the morning, they rush to do talis and tefillin and Shema. And whilst that's an amazing thing and helps us really understand the connection to the Shema and maybe why they wanted to institute this as part of the recitation of the Shema, what's it really saying about the Jewish people? We have a pasuk that says, Sheva Yipol Tzadik V'Kam, that a righteous person will fall down 7 times, V'Kam, but he will arise. And there are many, many explanations of what that pasuk means, that he falls down 7 times, but he still has the strength to be able to pick himself up. But in a very beautiful explanation, our rabbis say that Sheva Yipol Tzadik, that because the Tzadik falls down, V'Kam, he has the strength to be able to become a tzaddik and to rise himself. If you never fall and you never struggle and you never falter, then you can never rise up so high. You can never reach incredible heights. We become tzaddikim, we become righteous, dafka because sheva yupol, because we fall and we fall again. And it's through the falling and the struggling that we become who we are. You know, Rav Hutner once spoke about the stories of the Gedolim, and he was unhappy with the stories that we tell of the giants, of the sages. We tell of them as complete people. We don't hear about their struggles. The Chavetz Chaim, who wrote a sefer on Shmiras HaLashon, he wrote a sefer on guarding your tongue. You can only imagine that the Chavetz Chaim, the struggles that the Chavetz Chaim had with language, with words, with Lashon Hara, and that he was able to overcome those struggles. And look at what he produced. He produced a sefer of Shmiras HaLashon, a sefer that is seminal in our understanding of how to properly talk in this world, how to use our koach hadibur, to use our power of speech in a most positive, beautiful way, not to destroy other people with our tongues. But it's the struggle that the Chavetz Chaim went through that was able to produce this incredible, when you speak about Lashon Hara, when you talk about the concept of Lashon Hara, you see the picture of the Chavetz Chaim in front of you. But that was only because of the struggle, that the Chavetz Chaim didn't give up the struggle, and he picked himself up. The tzaddik falls and is a better person because he's fallen. Sheva yipol. But when you fall and you struggle, then tzaddik become. Then you become that righteous person who has the ability to rise to incredible heights. You know, the pasuk says, "Uvoa ovdim me'eretz Asher," that the ones that are lost from the land of Asher are going to come. V'hanidachim me'eretz Mitzrayim, and those that were nidachim, those that went astray in the land of Egypt. All the exiles, all those Jews that had been spread over the world. V'yishtachemu l'Hashem b'Har HaKodesh, and they're going to bow down to God in the Har HaKodesh, b'Yerushalayim in Jerusalem. And it's a very beautiful song. They put a tune to it. But if you look at the pasuk carefully, it's talking about gathering in all of the lost Jews. And it says, Uboa Ovdim, the ones that are Ovdim are lost. They're lost. And then the Nidachim, those that have strayed. You have to imagine that the Nidachim, they've strayed, but they're still around. The Ovdim who seem to be lost, they're in much worse shape. Shouldn't the ones that are Ovdim come before the ones that are Nidachim come before the Ovdim? The Ovdim are far away. The Nidachim, they've gone astray, but they're still in the neighborhood. They're still around. They haven't cut themselves off completely. So Reb Tzadok says something so magnificent. He says, look at the two places. The Ovdim come from Asher. The Nidachim, the ones that went astray, come from Mitzrayim. Asher was a hilly country. There was no rain. It was hard. It was hard work to make a parnasa. It was a struggle to live in Asher every single day. But Mitzrayim was a much easier place. It was much more fertile. It was much easier to live there. If you struggle and you live in Asher, then you have a greater chance to return. Even if you're in the class of people that we're calling Ovdim, but the fact that you're Me'eretz Asher, that you live in struggle, means that you know how to live with struggle, that you know how to struggle through things, you know how to lift yourself, you know how to work on yourself. But when you're complacent, it could be that right now you're just nidachim. But even for just nidachim, even for people that have just gone astray, if you're complacent, if you don't know what it is to have an internal battle and a little bit of a fight inside, so then it's much harder to return. You know, Rabbi Yitzchak of Berditchev says an amazing thing. He says you can learn three things from babies. When a baby gets hurt, it cries out to its parent. A baby is always busy. You look at a baby, it's walking, it's running, it's jumping, it's touching, it's exploring. And a baby, says Rabbi Yitzchak, when it falls down, it gets back up. The ability to be able to fall down and to be able to struggle our way back up, that's the hallmark of Klal Yisrael. That maybe is the reason why Bikshu Likvaya Parshas Balak, why they wanted to put the Parsha of Balak in Kriyas Shema. Because what these psukim are telling us, Hein am kilavi yakum. As Rashi says, Kishein oimdim mishinasam, we could be sleeping for years. We could look like we're lost. We could look almost like we're dead. But Kishein oimdim mishinasam, when we get up, when we wake up, when we recognize, when we struggle, Hein misgabrim kilavi kari. We rise up like a lion cub. We rise up like a lion. And it says not to grab onto obscure things, but to grab onto the very life's breath of the Jewish people. The Kriyas Shema, the Hanachas Tefillin, the putting on the talis, which are all included in the Kriyas Shema. That we could have drifted, we could have become nidachim, we could have become lost. But as long as we still feel a little bit of struggle, as long as we still feel a little bit of anxiety inside of us, a little bit of that pull, of that angst, of that understanding of what we could be, of what we want to be, as long as it lies there, no matter how dormant it lies there, one day it's going to wake up, and one day it's going to grab on to the basic tenets, to the recognition, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Because it lives so powerfully inside of us. And what Bilam did to us is that he framed us forever. And in these two psukim, in likening us to lions, he gave us the strength to be this way throughout our history. Am kilavi yakum, no matter how far we've drifted and no matter how far we've gone, we have the potential kilavi yakum. We can rise up like lion cubs. We can carry ourselves like lions. We can grow into something amazing. And as Rashi says, Kitargumo, that we have to understand that pasuk in its simplest sense, Yisyashvu ba'atzam b'koach gevura, that will take over our land with koach and gevura, with strength and with power. Because as long as we feel we have, that we know that there's that little fire burning inside of us, and sometimes it needs something from the outside to ignite us. But the minute that's ignited, and we have that sense of struggle and climb and a desire to reach for heights, that's the moment that we'll be able to walk into our land, b'koach u'b'gvura, with power and with strength. Power and strength that have lied dormant for thousands of years, but they can be reawakened. You know, Sunday is SHABBOS Tammuz. SHABBOS Tammuz, the 17th of Tammuz, begins the 3 weeks, begins the time when we remember the Gullus, we remember the exile, we remember all of the history of the Jewish people, and that we're disconnected, even though we live in the land of Israel. Nevertheless, we're disconnected from the Geula. It's not yet here. There is no redemption. We're waiting for the building of the Beis Hamikdash, that final piece of the puzzle, the ingathering of the exiles, which has already begun. But the placement of the Beis Hamikdash, which will bring us all together and bring us back with our God in our land. And as the year goes on, that ignition that we had, that illumination that we had last year during the 3 weeks in Tisha B'Av, that sense of smelling the redemption coming, of smelling the Geula on its way, that encouragement that we got from keeping a Tisha B'Av, from sitting on the floor and crying and reigniting inside of ourselves that pining away for that moment of Geula, for that moment of perfection, that moment of completion. It's been a year. And it's now a little bit dormant inside of us. It's gone to sleep. And now comes SHABBOS TABLE, and the struggle is reawakened inside of us. And when there is a struggle, that's when we have the ability to climb and to be able to touch incredible heights and to be able to touch greatness. And it's that way with everything. It's not just with the coming of Mashiach. It's not just with the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash. But it's with every single thing that we strive for. We have to remember the curse that turned into a bracha from Bilam. That hein am kilavi yakum ka'ari yisnaso. That we have the potential to reach incredible heights as long as we struggle, as long as we strive for something greater. We, as a nation and as individuals, have the ability to achieve whatever it is that we struggle for. We have to thank Bilam. We have to thank him that it wasn't a curse. That it wasn't the curse, Sheva Yipol, that you'll just fall down. But that it became a bracha. That no matter how far we fall, Sheva Yipol, way down to the bottom, as long as we struggle, tzaddik to come, we can rise to a level of tzidkas that is unimaginable. That's why we wanted to say this every single day. Because we wanted to give ourselves, Chazal wanted to give us the vision of what happens when you're starting to wane and to fall. Don't worry. You'll get back up. You have the ability to climb back up. And when you get up, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, you'll be able to call out this message of I still remember the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Everybody should have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing Shabbos.
Ooh, may I say something, Rabbi?
Yes.
Most people don't pay much attention to the haftarah instead of learning it, studying it, or whatever. I just want to mention that the last pasuk of this haftarah Balak is wonderful. So everybody should make an effort to read it and study it and to understand it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, guys. Shkoyach, Rav. Have a great day and a good Shabbos.
Everybody should have a beautiful Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you so much, Rav.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Shabbat
Thank
shalom.
you. Shabbat shalom.